No more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, let us raise our glasses high. Gory, gory, now he's in St. Peter's sky, and he ain't gonna ski no more. So skiers, hear my warning, lest you buy a pair of skis. Why take a chance on cracking up or risking a deep freeze? There's quicker, slicker ways to go, I'll guarantee.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you could please take your seats, the program will start in a couple minutes.
To please, and we ain't gonna ski no more. Gory, gory, who's that bird brain in the sky? Gory, gory, it's a sport I'll never try. Gory, gory, I am much too young to die, and I ain't gonna ski no more. And I ain't gonna ski no more.
Look, the icicles are all melting. Look, the snow's almost all gone.
What'll we do when the snow's all gone?
What'll we do when the snow's all gone? What'll we do when the snow's all gone? What'll we do when the grass turns green? What'll we do when the toes shut down? And our favorite run is a muddy ravine. We could paint a picture or write a song.
That's all wrong.
We could be domestic and learn to cook.
Oh, now look.
We could take up golf or ride a horse.
Why, of course. What'll we do when the robins come? What'll we do when the summer's here? What'll we do when we cannot ski and sun's all over the hemisphere? We might have to go to school.
Don't be a fool.
Good afternoon. If we could just get everyone to take their seats, we will get you out of here in an hour or so we can go out and have iced tea together. Okay, maybe some champagne, a beer, something else too. If you guys could just come on in and sit down, that would be wonderful. We really should have drank before we sat down. Y'all are so quiet. Well, hello and thank you. My name's Debbie Braun. I'm the president of the Aspen Chamber Resort Association. And I just want to thank you all for joining us for the 2022 Afternoon Blend, which is our annual sneak peek into winter. I don't know if we need a sneak peek. We could just look right outside the door. It's pretty cold out there. This year, we're also sharing the ACRA Tourism Outlook Forum along with the blend. We've combined them together. So you're going to see a lot of tourism results and presentations from the Colorado Tourism Office. Always, we appreciate the partnership with the Aspen Skiing Company. Let's give them a round of applause. I know most of you are here because we all want to win that fabulous prize of it is a Premier Pass, right? Yeah. Okay. Just double checking. Thank you very much for that donation. And thank you for always supporting us. I also want to take a moment to learn how to use the clicker and thank Atlantic Aviation. Are you here? Anyone from Atlantic? There you are. Please stand up right over here. Atlantic Aviation, thank you to our we really appreciate the sponsorship. And I'd also like to thank our host, the Aspen Meadows. We love being on this campus with the Aspen Institute, as SkiCo is putting the finishing touches on the mountain for the early opening on Saturday, November 19th. Yeah, I knew somebody over on this side be excited. I also want to acknowledge the ACRA Board of Directors and staff for all their hard work. Here we are at a retreat last year. We've had a really great year of programming, and I would love it if our Board of Directors would just stand up so we could just give you a small round of applause. Thank you for the work. There they are. We told them today was a board meeting and they had to show up. So these are my A+ students. There's about 15 of them that are going to get into trouble later on. I'd also like to ask Crystal Logan to come on up. She is the chair of the ACRA board, and she's going to be our chair for the 2023 season as well. And Crystal is going to do our land acknowledgement. So Crystal, come on up.
Thank you, Debbie.
Just have to click once.
Great. Thank you. Should I click it now?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Okay, as we begin to celebrate our favorite season in our favorite place, we'd like to first acknowledge the people of this land who called it home long before it became Aspen. You are visiting the ancestral territory of the Uncompahgre tribe of the Ute Nation, or Nucha. We honor the inherent stewardship Native people have for the land, waters, and air, in which our residents and visitors continue to have the privilege to revel in. We strive to learn from the Ute Nation of living in harmony with the environment and take action to sustain it for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, let's shake it off. We need a little bit more energy, and you haven't been getting it from me or Crystal. So we're going to invite Sarah Rennell-Lasser up here. She's our Senior Director of Business Development for the Aspen Chamber Resort Association. Yeah. Don't be scared. Yeah. Last month, we spent a lot of time with our frontline employees and really celebrating the work of the guest service staff here in our community. They have taken a beating really for the last couple of years. And the chamber really wanted to go out of our way with the suggestion of our board of directors to go out and celebrate our frontline employees. So Sarah has some insight and a couple of awards. Come on up, Sarah, with all that energy.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Best welcome to the stage I've ever had, so appreciate that. Hello, and thank you for attending this afternoon. We're excited to bring the membership together for this inside look at the upcoming winter season. We hope you will stick around for social hour. We might not have champagne, maybe the champagne of beers, but we will be excited to network, build relationships, and toast this upcoming season. This year, ACRA celebrated Guest Service Appreciation Month during the month of October. We know that one of the reasons you join ACRA is to provide valuable benefits to attract and retain your employees. Together, we can make a real impact in our employees' experience, including showing appreciation for their hard work providing guest service to both our visitors and locals. This begins with showing our gratitude to guest service employees and the entirety of Aspen's workforce. Recently, ACRA handed out 500 restaurant gift cards to our local workforce, and they were very appreciative. So it was a great way to say thank you for working in the off season, and thanks to those businesses that were able to stay open. Again this year, we sponsored the Best Guest Services Staff category in the Aspen Times Best of contest. I am thrilled to announce the finalists today. Our first finalist has lived in Colorado for 5 years and in the Roaring Fork Valley for the past 3. She started fly fishing in elementary school and has worked in fly shops since high school. She has worked for Aspen Outfitting Company in different capacities since 2020 and became their retail manager and buyer in April of this year. Please join me in congratulating our 2022 Best of Guest Service finalist, London Craft. London, if you'd be so kind to stand up. And we'll take a quick photo with you, London. Jennifer's coming over with a Defy Ordinary Award. Sorry, London, stand right back up. Oh, yeah. Can't get off that easy. Our next finalist grew up in the Roaring Fork Valley. She embraces the importance of both the mountain guest and the local and makes sure to always deliver the most exemplary guest experience with a warm heart and genuine smile. She radiates enthusiasm and grace, which led her to continually be promoted from within to her current leadership role as store manager and creative lead at Sachet Floral Arts. Please join me in congratulating our 2022 Best of Guest Service staff, Addison Kirklow. And this year's Best of Guest Service Staff winner is a longtime Aspenite who has given so much to our community. You may recognize her from the Crystal Palace, or more recently when she was crowned as Winter Skull royalty. She is a talented actress and singer, having starred in her own one-woman show at the Wheeler. In her current position, she's surprised, I love it. As Vice President of Programming and Education for the Aspen Historical Society, she has brought joy to the lives of thousands in our community, from students in our schools to locals and visitors on walking tours, and all who've enjoyed seeing her perform on stage. Please join me in congratulating our 2022 Best of Guest Service winner, Nina Gabbianelli. We thank all of Aspen's frontline employees for the tireless work you do to make Aspen thrive. Thanks to all of our members for your engagement and participation in ACRA's programming this year. Now, please join me in welcoming Eliza Voss, Vice President of Destination Management, with our 2022 results and tourism outlook for the community.
Thank you, and congratulations to all the winners. I really appreciate everyone being here for this combo event. I love a good collaboration. And now allow me to turn it over to the voiceover version of myself. Aspen rang in the 2022 New Year with consecutive powder days, thanks to the wonderful snowstorm over the holiday time period. Powder days were a much more favorable statistic than the early 2022 Omicron surge. Eventually, mask mandates and gathering restrictions were lifted, and boy, were we glad to see the smiles and join the community in celebrating the incredible Aspen High School basketball team going undefeated and winning the state championship, joining the dance and golf teams in their successes. Heading into Q2 of 2022 proved to be the return to new normal we had all been waiting for. 2022 shined a little brighter with the most spectacular fall in recent memory and is shaping up to give us a great start to ski season. International testing requirements for inbound U.S. travelers were lifted in June, allowing more freedom to roam than the previous 2 years. With a return to a more normal travel pattern, we saw a decline in interest in rural destinations like Aspen and public lands, and many of our residents and visitors venturing abroad. Average daily rates remained high in our area, contributing to a continued growth in lodging tax receipts despite the relative decrease in occupancy. Attuned to these changes in the industry, Aspen Chamber Resort Association released the Aspen Destination Management Plan, the ADMP, in March. A plan 7 months in the making, involving desk-side research analysts, 2 tourism town halls, 2 co-creation labs, 1,299 resident surveys, and 10 one-on-one stakeholder interviews. The results synthesized the challenges Aspen is facing and provided mindful strategies through the lens of our 3 established pillars of address visitor pressure, enhance the Aspen experience, and preserve small town character. Designed to enhance the resiliency of the community over the next 5 years and beyond, the ADMP serves to build from and accelerate ACRA's successes and aims to protect quality of life and simultaneously preserve the very reason people enjoy coming here. The plan belongs to the community, and ACRA's role varies from lead, partner, or advocate, depending on the strategy. The success of the plan relies on full community participation, to execute against the plan's recommendations. Following initial rollout of the plan, the team got to work on implementation. Our content campaign objectives are to build overall brand awareness of seasonal activities and getaways, promote safety and etiquette information to users currently in the destination, and encourage visitation by promoting lodging among the most engaged users. We ran content campaigns from February to mid-March, took a pause during secret season to acknowledge the feedback from the ADMP to limit actions to promote the off-season, and then started up again in mid-May and will continue until year end. We also ran a Defy Ordinary Fall campaign, as well as a campaign to promote the Thanksgiving to pre-Christmas time period. Leaning into the learnings from the ADMP, it became apparent that we needed to reinvigorate the Defy Ordinary campaign, originally launched 11 years ago. The brand video was refreshed and shown at the Food and Wine Luncheon, receiving high accolades from all those in attendance. It was also prudent to relaunch the Aspen Pledge, ensuring it was speaking to residents as well as visitors. For Pledge 2.0, we also wanted to ensure we incorporated diversity, kindness, and alternate modes of transportation. The new pledge launched in July alongside an incentive and was the call to action for the locally facing Defy Ordinary campaign, which ran until September. For each pledge signed, ACRA is making a donation of $18.80, which honors the year Aspen was incorporated, 1880. Those signing the pledge can choose between the Independence Pass Foundation and Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers as the beneficiary organizations. For the initial launch, ACRA has committed up to $50,000 in donations. ACRA is utilizing funds generated by visitors in overnight accommodations and putting them directly back into organizations that take care of our public lands, which are enjoyed by visitors and residents alike. ACRA was awarded a grant from the Colorado Tourism Office to provide technical assistance for a priority tourism need. Through our work with a core team of stakeholders, the priority need was identified in late 2021 as a capacity, comfort, and compression calendar for Aspen. And in 2022, we have been busy building out the tool. The calendar will help identify off-peak within peak timeframes and will demonstrate to the community that we are utilizing data to drive our decisions about when we are acting with a marketing or management hat on, and ultimately making this a sustainable place to live and do business. The tool will be rolled out to the community in the coming months. This year on social media, we incorporated more educational content into our aspirational messaging with a video-first approach. As we saw Reels become the dominant factor on Instagram, we pushed out more videos on social than ever before that were a combination of organic and user-generated content. With a video-first approach, we also became live on TikTok and worked with 26 Digital to push our campaigns out on this new platform as well. The ADMP highlights the importance of diversity and honoring Indigenous cultures. With the guidance of Aspen Historical Society and their relationship with the National Association for Interpretation, we created a land acknowledgement statement in the spirit of healing. We also continued to diversify the influencers we hosted, including a wider demographic in our videos and content. We are pleased to be part of the Challenge Aspen Open Doors campaign. We look forward to working with Challenge Aspen to share accessibility information with our guests and locals, as well as work with local businesses to enhance or highlight their accessibility features. This fall, we hosted a training for partners in collaboration with Ascendigo on wandering and elopement. Our public relations efforts were focused on promoting the release of the ADMP, both locally and within the industry. We redoubled our efforts to focus on arts and culture initiatives, the Aspen Pledge, and education in the responsible tourism field. We also supported Aspen Lodges and Aspen Skiing Company media visits. We were given the opportunity to host the Travel Classics event in September, but given the capacity to accommodate this event within the destination, we deferred and Vail became the host destination. ACRA had a strong presence, sponsoring the Taste of Colorado dinner in collaboration with Mawa McQueen, as well as a break during the conference. The success of Aspen's presence at this event was a great example of management and marketing working in concert. The ACRA Special Events Department produces destination-worthy but locally serving events throughout the year. Based on community feedback in the ADMP, we determined the Aspen Arts Festival, historically produced by ACRA in the third weekend in July, was no longer serving our community's needs and thus focused our attention on the production of Winter Skol and Food and Wine. The spirit of winter shined bright as traditional Winter Skol components took to social media. The Show Us Your Button social campaign gave the community an outlet to showcase their Winter Skol button from current or past years. The Food and Wine Classic in Aspen returned in 2022 back to its historically held weekend in early June. In partnership with Food and Wine magazine, ACRA sponsored Ben's Friends, an organization offering a bridge to sobriety for professionals in the food and beverage industry. Ben's Friends now continues as an ongoing Aspen gathering. In order to promote the useful content on our website, the ACRA sales team is in year 2 of our Meetings and Weddings LinkedIn campaign. This focused campaign is being utilized as a channel to educate planners on group experiences that will protect our natural environment, promote local businesses and group vendors, provide a deeper understanding of ACRA's role in the community and the group services provided, all while keeping the destination top of mind in the meetings and events industry. As a strategy to accelerate the reduction of tourism's carbon footprint, ACRA has implemented a booking incentive in partnership with the Good Traveler to offset air and ground transportation for groups sourcing their programs through our sales team. This booking incentive will incentivize groups to utilize ACRA's destination services while educating them on this carbon offset program that will help fund the work of restoring climate balance. This fall, ACRA supported the United Nations Mountain Partnership meeting hosted by the Aspen International Mountain Partnership at the Aspen Institute. ACRA supported the conference by sourcing Aspen lodging options at various price points, connecting AIMF to member businesses and group vendors, extended sponsorship dollars to support the production of the conference, and increased local visibility. The group sales team first spoke to AIMF about supporting this conference over 10 years ago when they first bid on hosting it in Aspen. ACRA is no stranger to collaboration, and we are proud to highlight some of 2022's successes for our community. ACRA continues as a member of the Fly Aspen Snowmass Airport Committee, ensuring excellence in air service throughout the year, not only for our visitors, but our well-traveled residents as well. Fly Aspen Snowmass also worked to return ground service transportation from Denver International Airport to the community with the newly launched Roaring Fork Express. In partnership with Snowmass Tourism and Aspen Skiing Company, ACRA continues to deliver Destimetrics occupancy and retail reports to the community, providing businesses with a helpful planning tool for their operations. In addition to the special events ACRA produces, as part of our strategic plan, we continue to support legacy organizations on events such as X Games and Aspen Days Ski Week. And this year, we were proud to welcome Aspen Santa Fe Ballet back to live performance, free to the community with Bloom in Wagner Park. We sponsored 2 Roaring Fork outdoor volunteer cleanup days, and ACRA provided staff with comp time off if they volunteered for either day, ensuring we as an organization are not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. We also continue to support Aspen Cycling Club and Roaring Fork Mountain Bike Association, acknowledging the increase in cycling, trail usage, and e-bikes since the start of the pandemic. ACRA continues to host the Maroon Bells reservation system on aspenchamber.org, and our collaborative working group made up of RAFTA, U.S. Forest Service, Aspen Skiing Company, Pitkin County, City of Aspen, and H2O Ventures was proud to receive the Rocky Mountain Regional Foresters Honor Award for setting up the reservation system in 2020. Ridership decreased in 2022 as compared to the same time period in 2021, further illustrating a more realistic visitation pattern as we return to normal. The group continues to fine-tune the experience and work towards meeting all user groups' requests with feedback and a goal for improving each year. ACRA is also a funding partner for the Maroon Bells Comprehensive Recreation Management Plan, an initiative that aims to provide a framework to sustainably manage recreation, access to, and activities within the Maroon Creek Valley. The Roaring Fork Destination Alliance, made up of chambers and destination organizations from Glenwood, Carbondale, Basalt, Snowmass, and Aspen, are working together on crisis communication tools, uniform signage, and the similar challenges that all of our communities are facing. As a group, we are working together on the Roaring Fork and Farm map and established visitor guide to agritourism. The visitor guide will launch in spring of 2023. As part of a Colorado Tourism Office effort, ACRA and the Wheeler Opera House are partners on the Colorado Historic Opera House's circuit. This first-of-its-kind collaboration will connect visitors with the arts and culture in Colorado's heritage. The circuit will diversify visitors to the towns and cities involved, attracting people who are interested in arts, culture, and history, aligning to the ADMP strategy of niche targets and arts and cultural promotion. In 2022, ACRA focused on reaching more of the workforce and local population in its communication strategies, and of course, celebrate our employees. We launched a campaign to support local restaurants open during the off-season by purchasing gift cards and distributing them to the local workforce. The word of mouth and rippling effect of goodwill made a positive impact on our workforce while also supporting restaurants and locals during the off-season. We are thrilled to announce our designation as a Top 100 Green Destination, the first step in a multi-year process to get Aspen certified by the Global Sustainable Tourism Council as a sustainable destination. With this award, Aspen is also mentioned on the Good Travel Guide, which increases our visibility and reaches conscious travelers interested in visiting a sustainable destination through the Good Travel Guide website. ACRA looks forward to the opportunities to work together in 2023 to further the recommendations of the Aspen Destination Management Plan in order to address visitor pressure, enhance the Aspen experience, and preserve small town character so that we can create an environment for Aspen to thrive.
Now I have a video that I can send my mom when she asks me what I do for work. Next year we may have Morgan Freeman or someone with a more soothing voice narrate that, but thank you for watching, and now it is my pleasure to introduce Andrew Grossman, the Director of Destination Development with the Colorado Tourism Office, and Hayes Norris, Communications Manager with the Colorado Tourism Office.
Thank you, Eliza, and thank you all for having us here today. It's an honor to be presenting on the state of Colorado. Once again, my name is Hayes Norris, and my colleague here, Andrew Grossman, and I will be kind of co-doing this presentation. So first off, I know probably a lot of you might be familiar with the Colorado Tourism Office, but some of you might not be super familiar with what exactly we do, what our initiatives are. So we just want to do a kind of a high level overview. So the Colorado Tourism Office is the destination marketing and the destination management organization for the entire state of Colorado. So that's a lot of different destinations and regions to cover. The CTO is a division of the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade, also known as OEDIT. And with a mission to achieve a sustainable, healthy Colorado economy that works for everyone and protects what makes Colorado the best state in the country to live, work, visit, play, and retire. So this year, actually this summer, we redid our strategic plan. So back in 2017, we as an office went through a very long process of creating our what we called the Colorado Tourism Roadmap. Well, things have changed since 2017, and we wanted to make sure that we were keeping up with the times and, assessing our evolving landscape to make sure that our pillars and strategy continue to reflect the current time that we're in. So this summer, we didn't want to do away with all that hard work we did in 2017, but we wanted to adopt it and make sure that it was evolving and updating as we evolved in the industry. So with that is the Colorado Tourism Roadmap 2.0. So with this process, it seeks to advance the strength and resilience of Colorado tourism through three main pillars, and that's collaboration, three main pillars of destination stewardship, economic vitality, and industry leadership through the four common themes of collaboration, inclusivity, innovation, and leadership. And just wanted to give you a quick kind of org chart to see how we're kind of put together as an organization. There's three main categories or departments within the Colorado Tourism Office. That is marketing, where I myself, the communications manager, is located. Destination stewardship, where Andrew is located. And then we have international tourism, which is extremely valuable as well. And that's all at the head with our fearless leader, Tim Wolf. And now I'll pass things over to Andrew.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really great to be here. Appreciate the chance to be part of the program. Just want to kind of take a little bit to walk you through how we think about things at the Colorado Tourism Office. And I really love being here because I do think there's a lot of similar thinking between the Colorado Tourism Office and ACRA as well. So I think it's a really great example of collaboration, because I like them too, Eliza, as well. But, you know, I do believe that investments in local tourism are more important now than they've ever been. I think the pandemic really highlighted how much tourism had been impacted. It's also one of the most important industries that we have as a state. So we have to continue to be investing in it. And I think even as we recover from COVID-19, the opportunity for continued investment is there. And I think a lot about, you know, what do we do as organizations? I think traditionally folks have thought of us as kind of the marketing, and now we hear things like management as well. I truly believe that we are distributors of information, and we've traditionally used that to inspire travel to and within our destinations, but we're increasingly using it in order to set expectations with our visitors to make sure they can, you know, move through smarter and with more information about how to be responsible and respectful. We also have an opportunity, and I think Aspen's done a great job with this, to really brand our destinations so that community values show their way through the presentation of a place. If we're not actively doing that, we will lose control of the narrative of what makes us who we are. There's also an increasing opportunity for us to be collaborating with local organizations and be at the table of discussions that are much broader than just, I think, traditional ways to think about tourism. How can we use our, you know, I think we're also great conveners. You all showed up, so ACRA must be doing something right with that. But I think, again, if you look at our value with communications, we're really good at distributing information. So when we look at these broader community challenges, what role can, you know, ACRA or the Colorado Tourism Office do to make sure that there's a really strong and consistent communication coming out? And I would say it hasn't always been this way in tourism. And I do think a lot of our organizations have been making a conscious effort to evolve and really start to do that balancing act of marketing and management, or I kind of say like stand between the pendulum, because we even heard in the video, sometimes we need to be marketing, and that's the problem that we're solving. And sometimes we need to be managing. But I want to quickly walk you through a quick evolution of destination marketing and management. We're storytellers, so I'll try to put a little anthropological spin on this. Here we are in the Devonian period. Tourism was just beginning in our lives, and we looked at the assets that we had, and that's what we were using to drive inspiration. It was asset-based marketing, and we did a lot of great work with that. We did research and planning to understand how that marketing was doing. What is the intelligence behind that? But then we entered the Jurassic period. You know, things started to evolve. Life got more complex. We started to need to do things like we are doing today: leadership and coordination, acknowledging successes and making sure that our stakeholders are behind us in the direction that we're going. It's also about creating a two-way conversation. It's not just about making decisions on our own anymore. How do we have tourism stakeholder surveys? How do you have, I think, 1,299 different resident sentiment survey responses? That helps the community feel like it's at the center of decision-making. And also, you make better decisions when you do that. And it's also not just about the assets that we have today to market. What are those new assets? The Opera House tour, basically, that we heard, or even the Roaring Fork and Farm Map. We're bringing new experiences to life. We're diversifying wide, and it's only making our destination stronger. And then we ended up in the Holocene period. We're the most evolved we've ever been in our entire lives. We need to do things like partnership and capacity building. Again, be at the table of other conversations, work with our land management community through things like the Maroon Bells work that's happening here. And it's also about visitor management. You know, it's at this point, okay, sometimes we have enough visitors. That's when we're moving more in that management phase. How do we make more visitors feel like less? And what are the different strategies that we can do there? Another way to look at this, now I'm going to get academic instead of anthropological, but we're going to look at Butler's tourism life cycle, which is a graphic from the 1980s, I believe, which has 6 stages, and that's too many for me. So I've turned it into 3 stages. You've got emerging, you've got intermediate, and then you've got established. And a lot of the work that I get to do is work with destinations across the state. And one of the first things I do is I look at where that destination is in the life cycle. And if you're emerging, we're doing a lot of work with visitor readiness with you. That's the strategy. How do we get you ready to start to drive visitation to your destination? If you're intermediate, you probably have a single tourism season, but what are those types of visitor experiences we could be developing or enhancing with you to give you a more robust tourism economy? And then you end up in established area, which I think Aspen's pretty established at this point, so I would definitely put you in that section. And a lot of the work is on visitor management. And I think that's a lot of what we've heard, the great work that ACRA has been doing. I think one thing with Butler that I would change is I would put a little line here, as you can tell, that would be carrying capacity. And you see on the right side, this is an important stage to be. Once you're established, there is sort of a crossroads that you're at. And I do believe that we as destination managers can engineer our destination through interventions like we've seen at the Maroon Bells to kind of create that transportation system to allow more visitors to feel like less at that asset. Or we could do things like the Aspen Pledge and make a smarter visitor that then engages more responsibly through a destination and leaves a lighter footprint behind. So I think the challenge for all of us in this room is to look at what are those things that we could be doing to make sure that we remain on that juvenation. And I think you're on a great track, but that's another way to look at how we've evolved as kind of destination marketing and management organizations. We do a economic impact study every year. Just want to let you know that. We've been doing them since 2012, but I like to call it 2019 to 2021 because it's kind of pre-COVID, peak COVID, and arguably post-COVID. What we saw was that we took a pretty big dip between 2019 and 2020 at a state level. I think it was about 36% down to 15.8 billion. And then last year we rebounded to where we're about 7% behind 2019 at 22.5 billion. Obviously, we know that our state is rather diverse, so it was not a unique story across the state of Colorado. So here's a quick county heat map of visitor spending. You can basically see that the western slope is above 2019 levels and arguably in sort of that management side of the coin at this point. And then you've got, sort of the eastern side of the continental divide is still in that basically recovery phase. And it's not uniform nor like anything else. And I think Pitkin County, just so you know, for our numbers is just 7% down from 2019. So you're pretty close back to where you were. And I'm sure sometimes it feels like less, but it's interesting to look at the way that this map works. And as you can imagine, if you look at the Butler's life cycle or the different thing that I showed you, you can kind of see what the strategies are and the way that you go from a pendulum between marketing and management. And this is at an annual look. I'm sure here there's months that you're like, oh, we need to bring more visitors. And there's months that we need to be managing more visitors. So I'm gonna hand it back to Hayes.
Awesome. So I'm going to dive into some of our marketing efforts, as that is a huge part of what we do. So we operate on a values-based tourism marketing kind of structure here. We want to make sure that we are attracting visitors that respect our natural resources and that are going to make sure that our areas, landscapes are here to come for generations. So we want to make sure that, we're attracting the right type of person. So some of our marketing objectives are twofold. We have 2 main marketing campaigns, our general awareness campaign, and then our responsible tourism education campaign. So with our awareness, we want to influence measurable visits from high value travelers to all areas of the state, which thereby increase the overall economic impact of the state. So when we say high value travelers, those are people that are staying longer, spending more, and that respect our natural resources and follow our Care for Colorado principles. Our Do Colorado Right campaign is our our education campaign. And that's for us to educate visitors and residents on topics related to destination stewardship and responsible travel. So I'll dig into that a little bit more and give you some examples. So our Shine a Little Brighter campaign is our awareness campaign, and we transferred this over from our WOW about a year ago. So we saw with the pandemic that many people were wanting a bright, sunny, happy destination, not necessarily just a beach destination, but they've been cooped up inside. They want something that really brings them to life. And our overarching brand is Come to Life. So with our Shine a Little Brighter campaign, we really capitalized on showing blue skies, outdoor activities that showed the 300 days of sunshine that we have here in Colorado, to show you that you can have a sunny vacation without going to the beach. And I'm going to show you a quick 30-minute video of our Shine a Little Brighter fall video. Sorry, 15 seconds. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you guys ready to hang tight? Maybe not. Well, it's not working with me, but we'll have a kind of compilation at the end. So apologies for that. It's not a presentation without a little technical difficulty, right? Yeah. Maybe. Okay. All right. Sorry. Back to the regular scheduled programming. The next campaign that I want to talk about is our Do Colorado Right campaign. So circling back on what Andrea was talking about earlier about the opportunity of tourism, well, this Do Colorado Right campaign really is the perfect example of that. By being the leaders in the communication about responsible tourism and destination stewardship, we're able to establish a sense of place with expectations and visitors. We want to make sure that the same trails that our residents are going on and our visitors have the same experience, so we aren't fatiguing anyone. And with the pandemic, the Do Colorado Right campaign came out of providing quick, helpful safety tips during the pandemic about how to travel safely. But then it really evolved into that responsible travel as a whole, not just COVID precautions. And it gave us the opportunity to engage with our partners here. What are they, hearing from their residents that they wish visitors knew? Those practices they know as residents that they want to transfer over to their visitors. So here are some examples of some different creative that we did this past year with the Do Colorado Right campaign. We made sure to partner and consult with different state agencies like CDOT, Search and Rescue, Department of Agriculture, so that we were able to amplify some of their messaging through our tourism lens as well. So on the left here, you'll see we worked with Quinn Gables, who is a local influencer. And it was during the summer that we had these about taking green rides and reducing your travel footprint. So that's when we saw a lot of parking congestion at trails and things like that. And we wanted to make sure to help remedy that solution with some of our messaging. And then on the right, you'll see we also did some creative with the Department of Transportation. That is a professional race car driver, Sabra Cook, who is a Colorado native, and she helped us do some different videos, things like that, to show even though she's a race car driver, doesn't mean everyone else needs to be on I-70. And of course, all of our marketing efforts are amplified by our earned media and PR initiatives. We make sure to really prioritize not only the general new news, new offerings, things like that, but also our destination stewardship, different initiatives, programs, things like that. So being able to amplify our marketing efforts through PR is a huge part of our initiative. And I'll pass things over to Andrew.
So keep hearing about destination stewardship. I'd love to just kind of explain how we think about it and how we execute on it here at the Colorado Tourism Office. So it's really a shared vision for the future. You saw our Colorado Roadmap 2.0 plan. That's really the guiding kind of document for the Colorado Tourism Office's work plan. When we talk about destination stewardship, it truly is about a larger industry a larger vision for the broader industry. For us, it really is to support Colorado destinations, to really look for that balance. And I think we've already heard Eliza's video talk about kind of the capacity, comfort, and compression. It's really looking at balance. What is the amount of visitation we need to keep businesses happy? And what's the, amount of comfort we need in a community to keep residents happy as well? But it's looking at that balance between quality of life for residents, quality of experience for visitors, while also enhancing our environment and our communities as well. And then I get to work with, as I mentioned, a lot of different destinations across the state. We heard about a technical assistance grant that ACRA got last year. That was actually with my team through what we call the Restart Destinations program. But a lot of what we do is serve as the extended strategy and implementation team to our different destination marketing organizations across the state. We look at research during a destination assessment. We then do a participatory conversation with stakeholders during a full day workshop. We then have anywhere from 50 to 100 hours of free consulting, which then goes towards advancing a project. That was actually what we did with ACRA to get to that kind of capacity, comfort, and compression calendar. And there's also just other implementation resources that we have available. Between last year and this year, we're going to be in 38 different destinations across the state. They're different colors because some destinations we've worked with 2 years in a row, some were last year, some are this year. You see that, Aspen is there in the red. So that means we worked with you last year. And it's really been a huge opportunity for a statewide situational analysis. You can think that if we've done, 38 different destination assessments and 38 different participatory workshops, there's got to be some trends that are emerging, right? Everybody's not that unique, although I do think we are uniquely Coloradan. We ended up doing 525 different stakeholders at the 28 different workshops that we did last year. We're actually just in the middle of our workshop series this fall. But again, it's not just us in tourism. It really is looking at that partnerships and capacity building. We ended up with 7 shared industry priorities I just want to let folks know about because I do think they're pretty universal here in Colorado right now. It's things like advance off-peak tourism. Again, if you're more of that intermediate destination in Butler's life cycle, that's probably a focus for you. Looking at advanced tourism workforce, this is kind of definitely a universal need, whether it be infrastructure like affordable housing, to also just creating a good community of workforce, like we just saw the appreciation and sort of the other sort of incentives that have been coming out here from ACRA. Champion the value of tourism. How do we make sure folks know about the quality of life benefits of tourism and the roles of our organizations? How do we look at developing and enhancing visitor experience? We've talked about that a little bit already. How do we encourage responsible and respectful use? How do we make, that smarter visitor or kind of more engaged resident? How do we foster inclusive travel opportunities? And how do we continue to do what we do best, which is promote local businesses and experiences? Just want to kind of close with an example of how we do this work. I just mentioned some of the stuff with ACRA, but also we've been working with the Roaring Fork Valley Destination Alliance that was in the video as well. So that's a program that I still get to be a part of with Aspen, Snowmass, Basalt, Carbondale, and Glenwood. Really looking at things like how do we champion the value of tourism? How do we encourage responsible and respectful use across the entire valley? It's not just a role for Aspen, it's a role for all the communities in the Roaring Fork Valley. And how do we have that consistent message? So as visitors move through our communities, it's getting reinforced. And I think one emerging part, and it came back to my conversation around, we're really good at communications. Well, crisis communications are increasingly relevant. How can there be a really strong role for tourism to step up? How do we inform visitors in hotels when there's a crisis? Because the typical channels only are really catered towards residents. So it's another kind of emerging opportunity. Here's some work that we did last year. We're looking to continue this year, which is just some simple messaging, but also important messaging about know before you go when you're in the valley that we were able to do through the collaboration. So I think we got a quick video to end things, but just want to give you some quick takeaways. I think, again, we are all uniquely Coloradan, even though we have been working in all these different destinations. There's a trend and there's a huge alignment with the priorities we're seeing and what I see in a lot of the work that ACRA does. So that's always great to see that alignment. We can rethink concepts of dispersion. Why don't we bring more people to the Maroon Bells? We don't need to send them other places if those places have been really made available for visitors. We can rethink concept of year-round destination. I think there's a secret season that I keep hearing about in Aspen. A good example of we don't need to be year-round. And we are at the precipice of this shift. Although I said the Holocene period, it's going to be something else next. So.
The Colorado Tourism Office's Responsible Travel Campaign, Do Colorado Right, reached a new level of success this year, educating visitors on destination stewardship while helping them get the most out of their vacation. Together, the CTO collaborated with partner agencies throughout the state, including the Colorado Department of Transportation and Colorado Search and Rescue, to promote content designed to tackle issues facing the state, from travel congestion to backcountry safety and fire mitigation.
I'm Quinn. I live in a van with my 2 cats. Here are 3 tips on how to do Colorado right. 1, check local fire restrictions. 2, keep your campfire small and manageable. 3, put out your fire so it's cool to the touch. That's how you do Colorado right.
How to do Colorado right? By me, Philip Henderson, backcountry enthusiast. When I'm prepping for the backcountry, I don't do this. Oh, Ouija board, will it rain today? I know before I go, and I do this. This. And this. That's how you do Colorado right. Will it rain today?
Yes.
I'm Saber Cook, pro racing driver.
It's not always about how you travel in Colorado, but when you travel. I check the travel forecast to avoid heavy traffic.
Then I have more time for pit stops. I'm Saber Cook, pro racing driver. When I'm racing, I like being in the driver's seat. But when I'm traveling in Colorado, I take the passenger seat on public transit. Then I can relax and enjoy free Wi-Fi and the views.
The state campaign received a notable 17 million impressions. With additional support on social media and our website, Do Colorado Right messaging was also leveraged at a local level by partners throughout the state, amplifying awareness of the campaign through marketing matching grants and our stewardship co-op program. These customized campaigns, championed by partners, addressed local issues while reinforcing a consistent visitor message.
This is Rocky Mountain National Park, a place we all love. In fact, we love it so much, it's become one of the most popular destinations in the country. To protect and preserve the beauty of this pristine natural environment, Rocky has implemented a timed entry permit system requiring a reservation to enter the park at its busiest times. So what does that mean for us? We need to plan ahead. Or enter before 9 a.m. or after 3 p.m., my favorite times, with your park pass, and no reservation is required to access everywhere except Bear Lake Road. Get up even earlier and access Bear Lake Road before the 5 a.m. permit time or after 6 p.m. Sunrise and sunsets on the trail are awesome.
In addition to entertaining and educating visitors and residents alike, the Do Colorado Right campaign was recognized as a finalist in the U.S. Travel Association's Mercury Awards and received a silver HSMAI Adrian Award for excellence in travel marketing, demonstrating how, when we work together, we can ensure Colorado tourism stewardship efforts shine brighter.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Appreciate getting to know folks at the networking thing later.
Next up, we have K2 with a little, oh, look how snazzy that is. Christy Kavanaugh.
Hey. Hey, everybody. I have a little less information, but I do have to say congratulations, Eliza and the whole team, on everything you guys did this year. It was really fun to be a part of it, and CTO with some great work. So I think we have a lot of good things going for us right now. Eliza asked me to give a bit of a glimpse of this winter for everybody. And I really couldn't do that, of course, without giving a little bit of a thought to this sweet summer child from 3 years ago who thought getting to the top tie hack and what a great winter we're going to have. And then this morning, I thought that was 3 years ago. That's not possible. It has been quite a journey to get us to this place. I was very surprised and impressed to hear so many of you use the word normal, as that is not something I would actually use just yet. So again, how are we doing now? You can consider yourself a Aspen business local if you have seen this graph before. For those of you who don't know what this says, the bars on the bottom up means good, the bars going down the bottom mean bad, and the line across the top is last year's occupancy, to give you a sense of how tourism went last winter. What I'm going to spend the next just few minutes telling you is a little bit of insider trading knowledge on what is inside this graph for us to get a glimpse on how things we can expect. And what most importantly is who is in here. So we had just talked about under the shared tourism priorities under the CTO, and one of their slides was their number one priority for shared top priorities of destinations is advancing off-peak tourism. And this is something that all of the salespeople do. This is what any sales force does. This is how they spend their time. They look for those holes and those opportunities to move and advance occupancy so that we have a better base. So the best way to really understand off-peak is to first look at our peak. So not a secret that our number one market is the United States, correct? So just taking a peek at what a US travel trend looks like. So this, I don't know if you can see that light blue vertical line that's up, that's January 1st. So just so you have a sense of how compressed we are with domestic visitors over the holidays. And then anybody want to take a guess at what those spiky point day of week? Anyone? Yeah, Saturdays, right? So you probably didn't need me to stand up here with a graph and tell you this is what domestic travel trends look like, but it's the best way to help explain how we identify what off-peak is and how do we target who it is that's going to come and help us change kind of the face of what it is that we do, right? So balancing out our skier days. We don't all want to ski on Saturdays with these people, right? We want all the guests to come on Tuesday so you can ski on Saturdays. So I got to keep the priorities going here. But so if you look, I just kind of picked, but the red, if you will, early and late season, obviously low, midweek, pretty much, unless it's a holiday, midweek is off peak. And then really the entire month of January falls into this off peak window. So with that said, I'm not going to give you all of the audiences we target. We're just going to talk about one, again, to give you a sense for what it is that we do. And there's a number of people in this room who do this with me. But international. So there's group that moves a lot of really good occupancy early and late season and midweek, but international is the one we're going to talk about right now. So this is what an international travel trend looks like in our last kind of normal year. That line, again, that vertical line is January 1st again. So they peak in January. And this, you would also notice there aren't a lot of Saturday spikes in there either, right? So we look at international, we invest in international, we collaborate really closely as a community. And in fact, identified this about 4 decades ago. It was identified. I mean, I know Maureen's in here, but my first trip to Brazil, probably Kim, Bob. I mean, there's a lot of us who were in this trip 30 years ago, sitting in this room still, but going and having worked these markets for literally decades to make this math happen for this community. What it does too, it brings a ton of versatility. So when we have these odd years, depending on what it is, maybe it's snow, maybe it's economy, maybe it's a pandemic, we have a really nice base of different audiences to pull from as a community. And so the goal for this year is to get our international trend to look like this again. So we have spent, and I have some team members here, but we've spent literally the day after we closed, and Mike's like, we closed, and we were all like, no, several years ago, my team rallied and said, okay, our job is now recovery. We have to prepare for recovery. We still celebrated birthdays. We had Zoom happy hours. We sent gifts. We kept training alive. We kept these markets warm. We kept in touch with the consumer so that when the time came, which is now, that these markets could come back with a ferocity. And so I'm going to show you in a second what it looks like, but I wanted to make sure we didn't lose sight of the fact that peak is also not just a given, and you got to work for every single dime. You got to work for every single visitor, and that's in the form of services. It's in the form of grooming our mountains. It's the form of investing in our properties, how your services at your restaurant, whatever the case may be, but we don't ever want to lose sight or take for granted what our peak looks like, because it's precarious, as we have learned as well. It's very different looking. But to give you a sense of how we're doing now and what you can expect. So this is, hopefully you can see at the bottom there, black is last year, red is this year, pace as of right now. So this is just how our international is doing. And again, I don't know if you can see Brazil and Australia. Those are the two that travel the most heavily in January. So they are major focuses of ours. And they are off the chart in these hundreds of percentile increases over past years. Questions? No? And then this is just a summary of the pace by month that we just looked, like the first slide we looked at. So we're a little down early season, the rest of the season we're good. And you can see how January is pacing based on the international results. You look at ADR and you layer that in. So ADR is a big story. We talked about this in some of the other presentations. ADR is important. Right now, we're pacing up 16.8% in ADR. A normal year is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. Last year, we did 47% in ADR growth. So there's a significant, again, sticking with the theme of who's paying those rate increases are not necessarily the same people, right? And we have gotten very blessed, lucky, used to repeat loyal guests. They know where to go. They know to take the bus to the ski mountains. They know which they're not to ski Aspen Mountain on their first day as they're a beginner. But in this, there's going to be a lot of guests that are new. And I think it caught us a little off guard last year because helping out in the operations, it really threw me watching some of the behavior because I'm like, no, don't do that. What are you doing? Because they didn't know. So this is something we should really take to heart, is that the changing landscape of the guest is something to be prepared for in our training and our training of the guests and the communication to them, because that to me is going to be quite different. To give you a sense though, for those of you who think, oh, this is so crazy and so different from the history, I just pulled 1819 so you could look at that. Basically, roughly that is flat, right? It's up 5%, but that is trending to a fairly normal 1819 year. ADR, however, not. So again, this is the same message I just shared, which is consider who that guest is that's paying that rate. This is business on the books. This isn't inflated like, oh, they're not going to come. They are coming. I got news for you. That is our occupancy on the books right now. This is our competition's black. So we are beating our competition and we are out pacing them in rate. So again, just some snapshot. I promised it would be less and it is less. But I would leave you with this thought from my content is I can't stress enough how important it is that we really appreciate these guests, the ones that have been coming forever and ever, the ones that do own a condo somewhere, and the person who's brand new. And how do we take care of them equally and welcome them back? Because it is a lot of work and it is a lot of money to get them to come to begin with. So getting them back is valuable. So with that said, and before I introduce our fearless leader for the very last afternoon blend of his career, Mr. Mike Kaplan will be up next. I wanted to leave you with our winter video. So you're going to hit play. Am I hitting play?
We're just a ski resort. But are we?
Our roots tell us to never underestimate the basic joys of life.
The little things that yield lasting memories.
Small gestures,
Big hearts.
small moments, big stories,
Small drops.
big dreams.
Single lift ticket. 4 unique mountains.
A smile in the lift line,
Old beard.
a ski tune, a bowl lap, a trick, a tip, a party, a single snowflake, and giving a flake.
One run can change your day, your week, your life.
Skiing,
Riding.
connecting. You,
Us.
here. We are not just a ski resort. Come see for yourself.
Thanks, K2. Nice job. Yes, you were very tight on time. She was very stressed about going over. Well done. Did you guys notice the voices in that video? It was cool. I think Hanley was talking about beer. I'm not sure why. Sorry, I got this board here. Might be a trap floor there. Did you guys set something up for me? Hey everyone, Mike Kaplan, Aspen Skiing Company. Psyched to be here. Really appreciate all those deep dives and sort of that broad perspective and what's going on in the state, what's going on with tourism, this concept of destination management. I think it's helpful and it's grounding. I'm going to get a little more personal in some of my comments, as you'll see, but just as we're looking out, and as K2 referred to, so this is my last year as CEO of Aspen Skiing Company, my last presentation at the afternoon blend. Hopefully I'll be in the audience next year still, but not up here. But so I've been reflecting a bit. And one of the things I've always said is that it's one of the cool things about this business is no 2 years are the same, right? Every year is really different, and you never know when it's going to snow, how much it's going to snow. You have these stories that unfold in the season, this different narrative, and it's pretty cool. It's exciting, but it's challenging when you're trying to run a business. And I think the last 3 years, each of those years were way beyond sort of the bell curve of, variation. Those were so different and really unique. And so I'm hopeful that we're getting a bit more of a normal year this year, but I fear that we've sort of forgotten what a normal year looks like. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. In case it wasn't clear, I think our goals, I'll just start with sort of what's changed with our goals. Like, so 2020, 21, our goal was to get open and stay open. Right? That was pretty simple. 21, 22, it was get open and stay open at full capacity. So this year, I'm happy to say never mind. I'm knocking on wood. I won't say anything except our goals this year are really about retention of that customer, that loyal guest. Make sure we're driving that and delivering the service they expect, the experience they expect, and then get international business back. All about getting that international customer back. K2 really explained why. It's core to our DNA. And it's one of the reasons you saw we were the only red or orangish county in the Western Slope, is because we have not been able to recover international for the last 2 years. And so you see we're pacing well, but we're going to have to refresh ourselves. What does it look like to welcome that international guest? What are their expectations going to be? How do we really make them feel like, oh, I'm back. This is the thing I miss most about COVID was Aspen Snowmass. So, I think that's our goal. I will say some of the skills we honed over COVID, I think collectively as a community, are sort of capacity management and how we manage load balance. We learned all kinds of different words and terms, but I think this year it's important not to fight last year's battle. And I think this year it is going to be more about customer acquisition. You saw that down period up through the entire month of December. We are pacing down versus prior year. So in years past, it's like, ooh, let's work on, just managing the people that are going to come, and we don't need to yield manage. We don't need to focus on filling those gaps. That's not going to be the case this year. And so we're focused more on that. And again, there are different battles this year. You think about what we're facing, obviously the high inflation, you have the really strong dollar, which still makes me nervous about really bringing that international customer home and having them come all winter long. You have Canada reopening. Canada hasn't been open, and the Canadian, they're on a different currency. The Canadian dollar is not as strong in the US dollar, for example. So you could see that, as we saw last summer, so many people went to Europe. You could see that this winter going to Canada. So I guess if you haven't gotten the message yet, I'm just trying to say, let's not be complacent. Let's flex those, remind ourselves where those muscles are around customer acquisition and retention. I speak from experience because I've taken my fair share of punches, and that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today as I reflect on the time I've had here as CEO. It's been 17 years now, and I have not gotten out totally unscathed. This was actually not from taking my eye off the ball. It was taking my eye off a wave, and it smacked me pretty good a few years ago. But I thought I'd have some fun with that and look back at some of my greatest hits. So here we go. Summer 2006, I became CEO that year, and I was working hard on this project, which was to replace the beloved clamshell Aspen Mountain gondola cabins. Who was here then? Raise your hand. Right? Pretty awesome. Good. Glenn remembers, I know. Anyway, there's a big thing. Steve Sewell and I worked on this a lot, and we were pretty nervous because this gondola was special, right? It was an Aspen gondola. And the big thing about it was everybody faced out. It was outward facing so you could see the view. And unfortunately, we searched far and wide. We couldn't really find an adequate gondola cabin that actually fit the existing gondola. So we said, okay, we're going to go face to face. Yeah, Ace, that's right. And there was a lot of noise about this in the community. So we're dealing with the change management, communicating and having fun with it. And lo and behold, nobody really said much about that. Right away, they liked them. But, what happened, and this is a lesson for my entire 10 years, you never quite know what's going to sneak up behind you and bite you. And sure enough, what happened was we went to sell the old gondola cabins, and we were just trying to get rid of, these things and keep them out of the dump, right? Out of the landfill. And Steve Sewell came up with a great idea. I know, let's price them at $1 a pound, $550, 550 pounds. And we're like, just please, can we sell these things and not have them stuck somewhere? Sure enough, some guy gets this idea to buy them in bulk, and he was going to resell them on eBay. And we didn't really know that. We're like, oh, you want to buy 150 of these things? They're yours. Oh my God, we got smoked in the press, right? Like, what were you thinking? You sold them for too little. You sold them to an out-of-towner, a Michigander, no less. What is going on with you guys? You are so, you know what? I think Jeff Hanley's here. I think he had the line. It was something like, we're really sorry we couldn't please everybody. Jeff's, yeah, you remember? Anyway, long story short, that didn't work out for him. Everybody got the gondola cabin who wanted them, I believe, pretty close. He wasn't able to close on the purchase. But that was a good example of, here we go. What else happened that year? We sold a little thing called Base Village. And that was something that we worked a long time to get approved, and we started construction on. We got phase 1 done. And remember, this was just before 2008. And we got this offer we couldn't refuse. Sold all the for sale inventory. We kept the things we wanted to own long term. The treehouse we finished, used the money to do all the mountain improvements we planned to do. Bought a bunch of employee housing, built employee housing. But sure enough, we got accused of being short termers, not in for the long haul. And there was one letter that stood out in particular. It said, we used the proceeds to buy housing down valley. That was an evil plot to avoid building the new Sam's restaurant, to drag our feet on the Sinclair Meadows employee housing. And in conjunction with our advertising campaign that year, which was Save Snow. And I think this is Auden's brilliant idea. It was our national ad campaign. It was a picture of the maroon bells, and they were melting, and it was just apocalyptic looking and not your typical scary advertisement. And he took that and said, yeah, these guys, their headline should be, think globally, screw the locals. Yeah. I don't think that's 6 months yet. Yeah, then let's see, then what happened? Then I thought we were sort of in pretty good shape because 07, 08 was the season. So 07, 08, who was here? Anybody know how many inches of snow we had? 514. I think it's still the record. It was a good year. Like, snow, there's a saying, right? Snow makes all of us look smart, even us dumb ones. So that was good, but sure enough, we just couldn't keep up. And we had one morning in particular where it was huge snowfall, and we had a bunch of avalanche activity down low in the mountain. So we didn't get open on time. I think we opened at 9:15. No, sorry. It says at about 10 a.m. the gondola opened, and you can see these dejected. I think that's Gonzo there, dejected there on the. And so that, of course, then led to, our first of many features in the Aspen Daily Planet, right? The April Fool's edition. So I was like, oh boy. And then what else happened that year? We had the co-op for 1A. The hotly debated project. And the co-op went on for months and months. Anyone on the co-op here? No, Deb was there. Yep, Steve was there, a few others. So 30-something community members going through a robust planning process, coming up with the perfect plan for 1A. There were a couple developers involved, a few developers involved in the time, and we were there and everybody. And anyway, the case was going before the council. And so I wrote this op-ed like, this has been a really fulsome community process. And I know you're getting last minute lobbying from some NIMBYs. They may be second homeowners. And I maybe was overstrong in my language, but I was trying to say, hey, we've been through this. We had the discussion. Let's go for it. And let's see, one local columnist accused me of being slightly hypocritical with those comments and quote said, Kaplan must be in it for the paycheck. That's tell your kids, if you want to if you want to make money, get in the ski business. That's a good tip. Long story short, it got voted down. That's not a story we have time for today. And where are we? I don't know. We're maybe 18 months into the 10-year, and then we experienced a fire, as we like to say. That was the Holiday House, our employee housing, which we're just finishing a rebuild there. And it was like this time in 2007, I believe, when it burned back down, late season or end of construction project kind of construction accident. So yeah, I probably should have just run. And by then when that fire hit, I should have just kept going right out of town, but I stayed here. And, good things obviously happened. And it's a good segue into one of the highlights for me has long been World Cup, the fact that we welcome people from around the world to this place, and this community does it, right? This community loves to show the world what's special about this place and what it's all about. And to me, this just it's the and of who we are, right? We are mind, body, and spirit. We are a destination resort who welcomes people. We're a place for locals. We're a place for international visitors. We're a place for icon pass holders and the high value guest. And I won't identify who's what or give them a label because that'll be this year's headline. And I do believe it's one of those things where we offer this opportunity to pursue what I call a meaningful life. And that, as I look back, is really powerful and really one that has me moving on with no regrets. As we do look ahead, I am optimistic about our future. Sorry for the poor dress code here, but this is the team. So what do you got to worry about, right? Look at these people. No, it truly is an incredible team and one that has dedicated their lives really to that mission and that spirit of meaning in work and meaning in life. And that's really what they do. And so while we don't have a successor named yet for me, you will be hearing news of that in the coming months. But in the meantime, you're in good hands. And if you look up there, I think he's about fourth from the left, is a gentleman you're going to hear from next. He's been with the company since before I actually joined. He worked for Whip Jones over at Aspen Highlands in the 80s before it became part of Aspen Skiing Company. And we like to call him Mr. Baseball and Mr. Revenue in the company. Please join me in welcoming John Rigney.
Thank you, Mike. I actually like that dress code for every day of the year, but that's just me. I want to thank my colleagues on the board. I've been on this board for quite a while, and you've got some of the best collaborators that I've seen assembled on this board, and hats off to Debbie and team for pulling it together. Thanks to ACRA staff, CTO for everything today. Mike's reminiscing about, what's been happening in the past, and the rest of us are kind of tasked on, well, what's happening now? Because his victory tour is just beginning and he deserves it because he's had far more wins than losses. But I figured we'd get you guys up to speed on a handful of things that have been taking place during the off season and what we're staring at. So We're clearly staring at great conditions to start a season. And I know the press will get formal notification on all the specifics. But as you know, we're opening Aspen and Snowmass on Saturday. Super pumped. I did hear the words top and bottom when they were talking about Aspen. I don't have the full scoop for Snowmass, but that'll come out shortly. Let's see. I'm going to go through a hodgepodge of topics, and some of which I'm up to speed on, some of them not so much. If there's anyone in IT or marketing here, they're probably terrified that I'm about to start talking about tech. So look, our mobile app, there's a theme here, and I'll get to it in a moment, but our app, like us, like I guess everyone in the world, have been trying to evolve the way that we interact with our guests, and kind of put the power of the purchase and gathering of information in their hands. Our app has come a long way. And so while we've been able to track vertical feet, bowl laps, that's a Mike legacy, just so he can tell us how many he did. And then we're all like, well, I did 2, I did 3. And skier days. And by the way, I hope does anyone have a skier day target in mind for this year for yourself? Right back there. How many? 50. Okay. Very, very reasonable. I like it. Aim high, people. Some new stuff that we have in the app this year. We partnered with Open Snow to give a little bit more refined weather and snow forecasting. We've got enhanced parking features, with maps, details, directions, a little bit more up to date info on that stuff. I think the biggest gain is that you have access to your entire account, so to speak. So whether it's signing waivers, uploading photos, or generating a QR code, for a purchase, it's all in your hands. And funny story, I ran into someone who's probably in this room and shall remain nameless. We were both heading towards Gondola Plaza. We were both going to get our pass today. From the time I pulled out my phone and printed my employee pass, it took about 15 seconds. I saw this guy about 15 minutes later, and he's, still got a smile on his face. Everyone's pumped, but it's out there. So there are ways that you can get ahead of it. So the next picture there is our pickup boxes. So very sophisticated, straightforward name, pickup boxes. But these have been in existence for 3 years. They have greater capabilities than ever before. They're at the base of each mountain. And this year we're putting one in the baggage claim area of Pickens County Airport, which is awesome, right? Again, get ahead of it is what we're trying to do. But also new this year, SAS and tour op guests, they can scan their email confirmation codes at these pickup boxes and your tickets print out instantly. It's super slick. So I told you where they're located. Let's see, we're going to go to the next one. So here's the theme. Help me help you. Kind of like those CTO videos, like, hey, don't be an idiot. Do your homework. Get it done in advance. Maximize your fun factor. So I'm relying on my boy Jerry here. Help us help you. You saw a picture, if you're really paying attention, of one of our lift tickets. And again, I have that. But this is our 18th year of doing art in unexpected places, which takes all kinds of shapes and forms across our mountains and in our properties. This year's artist is Rashid Johnson, and he's world-renowned. His work has been in the Guggenheim, in the Met, in the MoMA, and he actually custom designed a ski that'll be on sale this year in the Aspen X store at the base of the mountain, if you want to see it. Also look for art from Jose Davila, who's a pretty established sculptor from Mexico. His work will be on display at Buttermilk Mountain Lodge and in El Camp, where we rotate out the art every year. Art and tech, check. Now we can get to the fun stuff. Okay, so you can probably tell we've been doing a ton of work out at Buttermilk. Phase 2 of the Buttermilk refresh had about a 10 or 11 year gap between phase 1 and phase 2. But it will have been worth it when we open. There will be a new skier services building that really will be one-stop shopping, right? We're going to have rental, retail, tickets, ski school, all in one common area. And conveniently, I left it out of this photo, but as you arrive at Buttermilk, it will be on your left. Beautiful new facility. construction delays have kind of held us back on when we want it to be ready, of course, on opening day. We will probably open that facility mid-January is what I'm hearing. And in the meantime, we got a little temporary setup for everything going on at Buttermilk. What will be ready for opening day will be our remodel at Bumps, which is super cool. We've got a new entry. We're going to have more seating, 25 or 30 more indoors, which is, not inconsequential on a busy day. And we've got an expanded and beautiful patio and bar. We're calling it the backyard, but this is where we're going to have more room and take advantage of those beautiful views, access to the athletes, the pipe, etc. So we're pumped about that. And again, the main skier service facility will just have a slight delay from opening. Buttermilk opens in general on December 17th. Moving on. On Mountain Dining, had to give a plug for a lot of good work that's been going on here. We are going to have the burgers of Aspen Snowmass, different burger for every location. Super cool. There's a backstory to that. I'll get to it in a minute. High Alpine, we took over High Alpine 2 years ago and trying to figure out, all right, what have we got? How do we take the best and evolve it and maximize it? So there's going to be a little bit of infusion of some German and French flavoring in the menu items. We're going to do Bavarian festivals every Saturday. The team's really excited about how we're going to hit stride. And that is our biggest restaurant. I mean, it's an amazing facility. All 4 of our fine dining establishments on Mountain, we received Wine Spectator Awards this past year. So proud of the team. We're going to have ACRA parties every weekend. We're going to have music more often, different themes, different locations. So we'll try to update that in our weekly notifications. New this year, Cocktail Express in our market arenas. You will, once you go through, get your food, your drinks. Once you get settled at your table, there'll be a QR code. And there'll be, 5 or 10 different, beverage items. If you want to reload for another round, another bucket of laughs, perhaps, you'll be able to do that. Do it right from your phone. It'll get delivered to your tables. So for a market style restaurant, that's a big deal for us. And we're looking forward to launching that. And then lastly, bottom right corner, again, help thyself. These self-serve kiosks. How many people used these last year on the mountain? Yes. Okay, good. Look, they weren't very well signed and they weren't very intuitive when we started, but we've been working feverishly to evolve it and make it more simple. Bottom line is this should save you time and brain damage, and it should move you through when we're at our busiest. Let's see, moving on. Another beauty, Pandora's expansion. So a lot of drama, but a lot of excitement around this. And this year, the team did a ton of work, and it sounds simple, like we built a road to the new base, but that's a big deal. And we cut the lift line. So a ton of work's happening. Keep in mind, this year, it's still backcountry. It's gated. We may be doing work in there. We may shut the gate for a period of time. We ask you to observe that. But by and large, the excitement comes after next summer when we cut the lines, do some grading, and we open for skiing winter 23-24. So hats off to everyone who's been involved in pulling that. That was truly a kind of a massive effort, not only on Mountain, but with partners in the community. They will have a high-speed quad in there too. Super cool. Can't wait to see how this evolves. The skiing on the mountain. It's the first major terrain, addition since 1984, I think. So we get about 20% more skiing acreage on Aspen Mountain. It's a big deal. It's our flagship and people are pumped. So looking forward to that. X Games is coming back in January, 22 years in a row. Some of those spikes in January. Yes, thank you. But they're due to X Games as well. We love the internationals, love them. But X has done us right too. It anchored that month when we needed it back in the day, 20 some odd years ago. But let's see, what do we got? We are bringing back concerts. That'll be announced shortly with acts and all that stuff. We're going to have, all of our ski and snowboard events on the 3 different venues there. You're going to get to see the best athletes in the world perform right on Aspen Mountain, including several locals like Hannah and Alex and a lot of up and comers that should be on that stage this year. So we're psyched. Yes, I'm sure you saw in the papers recently, there are new owners. ESPN is still in the mix, but there's a new group by the name of MSP Capital that has, basically purchased the majority share of the event. We're getting to know these folks, trying to understand their vision for the property and for Aspen specifically. So it's a journey, but we're really excited to do this event and have it look and feel more like, say, 2020 than the last 2 years. But we're very proud that we were able to pull those events off when nobody else was doing anything of the like. And as you know, that gave birth to naming of the U.S. ski team and the World Championship. So a lot of cool stuff went down at Buttermilk when we were in some of our darker days. Next, World Cup is back, as Mike referenced. Super psyched. I asked Hanley, who is the keeper of all archives and the occasional funny joke, what was the biggest gap we've ever had between hosting World Cup? And I can't, there's been 6 years. By the time we get started, it'll have been 6 years since we last hosted Racers on the Hill. And we're psyched. We have a dedicated men's speed event. We're going to have Return of America's Downhill. We're going to get to award the Roach Cup. It's going to be fantastic. And it's going to be at a time of year when we are really in all of our glory. And if you were here for 2017, you remember we had fans lining up and down the entire race venue. The party poured over into Wagner Park. It was one of the better illustrations of community I've ever seen, like in my time here. So March 3 to 5, downhill, Super G. We're going to activate Wagner Park, God willing, and make it super fun and cool. And maybe it won't be the pool it was in 2017. So yeah, you deal with the cards you're dealt. We're also going to do some cool activations in Snowmass. Basically, all of the teams are going to be based in Snowmass Village. So bib draws, kind of an opening ceremony. They'll be doing training, wax room, stuff like that. So we're psyched to have the whole resort kind of wrapped up in this big event. Global coverage, guys, and keep in mind, it's prime time in Europe, which again, we get international business from all corners of the globe, but prime time in Europe is pretty rare, and we're psyched for that. Anyway, huge community effort, probably more so than anything else we do. So big thanks to the lodging community, to the chamber, to the city of Aspen, to the county, to RAFTA, like we're all in this together. And it wasn't easy. Remember, the lodging dynamic has changed massively in the last 6 years. So when I was calling up the old favors, like, hey, you got 50 rooms, you got 30 rooms, it was like, click, click. I'm like, okay, I got to dial from a different number. But we got the conversation started and we got where we needed to be, and we're going to put on a phenomenal event. So a lot of the stuff was about help us help you. With World Cup, it's like, can you help us? We're definitely going to need a little help. We got it kind of late in the game, but we're tracking nicely, and we're excited for what March will bring. I want to kind of wrap up by highlighting a couple familiar faces, but they're in new places. So Buck Erickson, stand up, sir. He is now running Buttermilk. He's mountain manager at Buttermilk, which means our former leader at Buttermilk, please stand up, Mr. Travis Benson. He is going to be shepherding Aspen Mountain. So he said in passing today, I was a little worried about this all year leading up to opening day, but today I skied top to bottom and the powder was amazing. I'm in a good spot. Good for you. You deserve it. And then please, Susan Cross, who runs Snowmass, and Kevin Haggerty, who runs Highlands, please stand up, give a wave. These guys are they're the leaders of some amazing squad. And when you think about what it takes to get a mountain open early on, you're talking about snowmakers, groomers, patrollers, lift maintenance. The list goes on. And I apologize if I didn't name you, but without them, we don't get open on time, much less early. So we're psyched about that. We have other new faces in places, and I don't know if they are here, but 3 key hospitality folks have changed locations. Henning, who's on the board at ACRA, is now running point at the Little Nell. Psyched for him. Are you here? No. Noemi Kiss-Baldwin is running Limelight Aspen. Noemi, are you here? No. All right. Sandra, are you here? Sandra. All right. Sandra Dykes. She's running Limelight Snowmass. So congrats to all. And yeah, keep in mind, you guys saw the highlights. We're still working on, more and more efficient snowmaking. We're working on housing. We're working on making the employee journey better than ever before. And we're working on developing and fostering this sense of community that I think makes this place very unique. So I wish you perfect, beautiful powder turns. And now I'll introduce my friend and colleague. And unfortunately, I don't have enough time to come up with a fabulous joke, Mr. Auden Chandler.
I usually get introduced by John with some slight or insult, and I regret that he wasn't able to do that. We also want to call out Gabby Cohen, who's our new brand person. Gabby, are you here? Okay, I'm going to give you an insight into the inner workings of our sustainability strategy. And you can see it up there. I'm going to be outside with this report, which is like a master's class in sustainability. It's all the inside information. It's not a PR document. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. And this is totally worth reading. I'll give you a little teaser. So on the back, there's a picture of some of our employees, and they're very diverse, but we're not that diverse. You know that. This is a very white industry. And the reason we put it there is we called one of our friends, Henry Rivers, at the National Brotherhood of Skiers. And we said, Henry, how do we make you feel more included? How do we make the Brotherhood feel more included? If we put a picture with a number of African Americans in it and basically disingenuously misrepresent the company, isn't that bad? And Henry said, no, do it. We want to feel welcomed. This changes how you're presenting the resort. So we did it. And on the back, you'll say, this picture doesn't represent what we look like, but we're trying to get there. And so that level of honesty is reflected in this master's level document that you must read. I'll be out there hawking it. Okay, so we do three things in our department. We model for the rest of the world because that's Aspen's role in the universe. We wield power. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And then we spew. We get the info out into the world. This picture is what you've been hearing about in the climate revolution. And I know there's some people here who are super geeked out on this, and this is for you. So this is the hub, an all-electric building with the roof covered with solar panels, and those things lined up over there are heat pumps. This is how you're going to solve climate change in the built environment. A all-electric building means that as the grid gets cleaner, and the grid is approaching 100% by 2030, this is Holy Cross, you will be a net zero building. We don't have to be net zero right now. We're going to be net zero. And this is what's happening in progressive building throughout the West. This is what the hub looks like. By the way, the hub, it's employee housing. It's 4 stories. It's on mass transit. It's got bike share right outside. It's got EV plugins. And the latest thing we're working on is car share. So you don't even need a car. This is environmentalism. This is cutting edge stuff. Before that, though, there was an actual instantaneous net zero teacher housing development behind the high school called Basalt Vista. Habitat for Humanity did this. And we had our hooks in this from the beginning too. Scott Gilbert was doing it. I saw him on the day that he was going to put the gas line in. And he said, should we put the gas line in? And I said, no, make it all electric. And he's always credited me for that decision, but it was his decision. And then Takaw across the street is all electric. And if you look at the roof of Takaw, it looks just like the roof of Hub. So today I called Ryan Honey, who runs Takaw, and I said, Ryan, I don't want to misrepresent anything, but didn't we influence you in making the Takaw all electric? And can I say that at ACRA today? And he said, no, we were going there anyway. And he said, but you can say you've supported Takaw from the beginning and I was like, all right, I'll say that. By the way, Aspen Skiing Company did send volunteer work crews to help build Basalt Vista. So on certain panels of sheetrock, there are multiple screws in the wrong place that don't go into studs. That's our work. And then the point is, this is a trend being led in many mountain communities how you do climate, real hardcore climate solutions. We're doing it, but so are others. Crested Butte recently banned natural gas in new buildings. This is a key solution. It may be scary to some of you architects out there, but you've got to do it, because if you heat with natural gas, you emit CO2 for the life of the building. And so electrification is a key solution. Okay. Other businesses, peers of ours and competitors, their sustainability targets are, we're going to cut CO2 emissions 30%, 40% by 2030 or whatever. Sort of like, yeah, I'm going to stop smoking by 2030, stop drinking 2040. Our goal last year was ambitious. It was, we're going to be meaningfully involved in state or federal climate legislation. Here's how it played out. So in 2009, I got a call on the phone from what sounded like a stoned guy. His name was Jeremy Jones. He wasn't stoned. He's just got this California vibe. One of the leading big mountain snowboarders in the world. Hey, Auden, would you be a board member for Protect Our Winters? I said, sure. I showed up. I said, where's the board? He said, there were 3 people in the room. It's us. I was like, oh, how much money do you guys have? $150,000. What foundations are giving money to you? None. Anyway, nascent organization, the mission of which was eventually to mobilize the outdoor industry like the NRA on climate. The NRA has 5 million people, owns its issue in Washington, and has arguably won that issue at the Supreme Court. But for years, the outdoor industry has never wielded power, even though it's way bigger and way crazier than the gun lobby. Think about it. REI alone has 17 million members. The outdoor industry, depending on how you measure it, is 40 to 100 million people. And they're influential and crazed, fanatical. Think about skiers in Oregon who, when it's raining, they cut a neck hole in a trash bag and armholes and ski in the rain, or Australians, just in general. And so the point is, this could be mobilized. And if you mobilize these people, these are people who you didn't become a skier or a hiker or a climber to vote or to be politically engaged. You were trying to dodge all that stuff. So these would be additional votes as well. So time passed, and Aspen Skiing Company, this is also part of the cool strategy of the company. They seconded me to POW. I got paid to be on the board and help build this organization, which is thriving and now has a budget of $5 million and was involved in the last climate bill. And I'm going to tell you that quick story. So as you all know, the most important piece of climate legislation ever to occur passed this year. It was called the Inflation Reduction Act. And if you were following it crazily like I was, you know that at the last minute, it went to Joe Manchin and he was a swing vote. And he's from West Virginia. It's a cold place. It wasn't clear if he was going to vote for it, but we had to get it through. It's an incredible piece of legislation. So Aspen Skiing Company had been hammering on our partner Altera for years, saying you can't just do lighting retrofits, you have to do policy and politics. And they knew that there was a ski resort in West Virginia, the CEO of which knew Joe Manchin. So they partnered with Protect Our Winters, which wrote a 2-page letter saying, hey, this is business, you need to solve climate, we're a big part of your economy here. Got that, POW wrote the letter, got it to the CEO of Snowshoe, she knew Manchin and handed it to Joe Manchin. He voted for the bill. Now, I'm not saying we did that. There are a lot of pressures on it, but this is how you need to think. You need to think bigger and stronger and not micro. We're going to change light bulbs and call it good. We're going to buy clean power and call it good. Not good enough. You have to think big. Okay, so what happened next? Then the bill went to Kristen Sinema in another state that's kind of red, that's an outdoor state that is flippable using outdoor people. Turns out Kristen Sinema was a fan of 2 famous athletes who work for POW. POW knew that, and they got those 2 athletes to directly tweet Sinema and say, you got to vote for this. Again, did POW flip it? Probably not. But this is part of the movement, the zeitgeist, the social norm changing that enabled this incredible piece of legislation to pass. So this is how we're thinking about stuff. And the result of it is an incredible, Gabby, I'm glad you're here because this is brand. Look at the news reports from last year. We had a massive piece on ABC News, one of the best pieces we've ever had. I think it was 6 minutes. We're covered in Forbes saying, hey, here's some lessons from Aspen. We had a giant NPR piece that's in the piece said far and away, Aspen is the leader on environment. And when they say that, it's you, it's ACRA, it's Snowmass, it's this whole community. And the Washington Post covered our methane plant. So brand, you know the value of it, but think about it. One, we have employees at our company that we recruited hard and they came here and they told us this because of your environmental work. At the same time, I walk around in the woods and I see people wearing Patagonia on their hat. That's where we're going to be as a community because of our leadership and your leadership and all the other things we've heard about being done here. The other piece from a business perspective, if you have a choice between 2 ski resorts and you're shopping, and one is incredibly progressive and innovative and thoughtful, maybe you're going to go there instead. So there are all these advantages. And then finally, this is years ago, we're the only ski resort to have a Harvard Business School case study taught about us in business schools throughout the world. But when that's the case, and when your brand is what it is, when you go to Washington, which we do all the time to lobby on climate stuff, it's not Joe's coffee shop showing up. It's Aspen, and it carries weight. So there's all this value that you're part of and that we can leverage even further for good on the environment. I'll stop there. Isn't Mike coming up?
Are you coming up?
What are you doing here? You're the question guy?
Giving stuff away.
Oh, okay.
So here's the story on why we've got new burgers at every restaurant joint, because he complains about burgers and everything all the time. And it's partly because he goes up to the grill at 3 o'clock when he knows they're not going to charge him for it, and he gets one that's been on the grill for a while. So he had a burger tasting festival all summer at the expense of our food and beverage department. And now we've got some kick-ass burgers.
Tell them about the burger.
Oh, they're great. They're going to be great. So, hey, we were going to do Q&A, but we got started late and we want to respect your time. And plus we got a little shindig, I guess, teed up. So we're going to get to that. And so look, you know, the folks that presented today, they're all here. You know, probably most of the board members. Debbie, feel free to take as many questions as you'd like, but we'll all be here and milling about. Whatever you want to follow up on, please do. We've got 4 prizes to give away. Thank you for attending today. The first one is first tracks on either Aspen or Snowmass with Mike Kaplan. And I didn't write this, or the executive of your choice. So clearly the company is moving on.
Wait, I'm gonna
And the winner,
I'm gonna filter this one. I
the
gotta
win-
make sure it's someone I want to ski with. Carrie Coleman. Yes.
come on up after we're done. There's only 4 prizes and we'll get you your certificates. The second one, now I made an egregious mistake. I referenced the word bumps. Bumps doesn't exist. It's Buttermilk Mountain Lodge. Buttermilk Mountain Lodge. You got it. I blew that. It's my area and I'm supposed to do that right. $250 gift certificate to Buttermilk Mountain Lodge. And the winner is Casey Pack. Well, I think you owe me lunch. And then the next prize is I can't remember whether it's 2 or 4 people to Aspen X Beach Club. 2 tickets to Aspen X Beach Club. And the winner is Claire Smith. Claire Smith. Well done. Well done. Okay, drum roll, please. Premier Pass 22-23 Premier Pass. Everybody wants one. Someone's about to get one. And Mike, you do the honors.
2022, 2023 Premier Pass goes to Lisa Lilly. Lisa, where are you? She here? You have to be present to win? I guess not.
I don't know, Lisa. Okay, look, a few thank yous. Michael Miracle, thanks for herding cats and getting this ready. Debbie, the whole team at ACRA, Gina, the Meadows, the team at the Meadows, and the gang from Live Productions. Big hand of applause for all of them and our outgoing prez. Go enjoy.